the NFL's decision to fine Eagles defensive tackle Jalen Carter again, this time $11,593 for taunting after a blocked field goal return, is more than just another ledger entry. It's the latest episode in a short, loud string of incidents that have put Carter squarely in the league's disciplinary spotlight, and it raises real questions about player conduct, consistency of punishment, and how the Eagles manage a high-impact player whose on-field behavior keeps creating headlines. First, the facts that matter. Carter was fined $11,593 for a taunting penalty tied to a blocked field goal sequence in Philadelphia's Week 3 win over the Los Angeles Rams. This is his second substantial league punishment of the 2025 season. He was ejected on opening night after spitting on Dallas QB Dak Prescott and was later fined $57,222, effectively a one-game pay cut for that incident. Put together, those two league penalties total $68,850 in fines this season alone. Why this pattern matters. There are three overlapping reasons this keeps being newsworthy. 1, public perception and brand risk. Carter is an elite defensive talent whose play helps the Eagles win games, but repeated disciplinary headlines erode the team's public image. Fans and media are quick to separate the on-field dominance from off-field or unsportsmanlike actions. The latter linger far longer in the public imagination and can overshadow the former. Teams trade on reputation for sponsors, league goodwill, fan engagement, and repeated incidents force executives into reactive PR and legal triage. 2, competitive cost. Fines themselves are not trivial, but the immediate competitive cost can be greater. Ejections, suspensions, and even in-game penalties change outcomes. Carter's Week 1 ejection removed Philadelphia's biggest interior disruptor in a tight game. Even smaller penalties, taunting, personal fouls, unnecessary roughness, flip field position and momentum. For a team built on marginal advantages, those moments add up. 3, discipline and locker room dynamics. When a star repeatedly violates rules and the punishments appear insufficient, it creates tension inside the building. Coaches must balance supporting their players with holding them accountable. Teammates can resent actions that cost the team. Conversely, over-sanctioning a star can fracture relationships. Nick Sirianni's recent comments underscore the tightrope the Eagles are walking. The team wants energy and tenacity, but within the rules, and coaching staff insist they'll address these issues internally. AP League's enforcement context. The NFL has pushed a stronger point of emphasis recently on certain unsportsmanlike acts, especially celebrations that simulate guns, throat-slash gestures, and other violent or sexualized displays. Officials and league analysts signaled they would crack down on those behaviors to protect players' safety and public image of the sport, and to keep celebrations from escalating into fights or fan backlash. That larger officiating posture makes Carter's infractions feel less like isolated flubs and more like examples the league wants to discourage. Consistency, or the perception of it, is the league's tricky problem. Fans and rival teams watch closely for double standards, which officials and the NFL office are sensitive about. When high-profile players are penalized and fined while other similar actions go unpunished, critics cry inconsistency. The NFL's messengers have argued that replay, league review, and after-the-fact fines are necessary to correct missed calls and maintain standards, but the patchwork nature of enforcement still fuels debate. What this means for Carter and the Eagles. Short term, Carter remains available and productive. The league's handling so far, fines rather than multi-game suspensions, beyond the ejection treated as a one-game suspension, suggests the NFL is balancing deterrence with proportionality. The Eagles, meanwhile, will almost certainly keep Carter on the field as long as he's available, because the talent and schematic fit are too valuable to bench indefinitely. Medium term, repeated infractions raise 3 risks for Carter. The next offense could carry a larger fine or suspension, especially if it's egregious or involves a fight or physical escalation. Opposing teams will weaponize his history, using taunts, chirps, or tactics to try to force him into a reaction that draws a penalty or worse. The Eagles' front office may be forced to issue tougher internal discipline if the behavior threatens the team's competitive goals or public relationships. For the Eagles, the calculus is simple but painful. They need Carter's production, but they can't have him costing the team with ejections or suspensions. That means increased coaching emphasis on emotional control, possible changes to post-play protocol, who lines up where, how players are separated, and clear, enforceable internal consequences for repeat offenses. How Carter should respond, what success looks like. If Carter is smart about repairing his public standing and preserving his on-field availability, a short roadmap is clear. 1. Acknowledgement and accountability. Public remorse after the Prescott incident helped, but a pattern requires more than apologies. Teams and fans want to see corrective behavior. 2. Behavioral coaching. Teams often bring in sports psychologists or veteran mentors to help players manage adrenaline and provocation. Carter should embrace any such resources. 3. Discipline in game. The easiest way to avoid fines and suspensions is to alter micro-behaviors. Don't taunt, avoid celebratory confrontations, and follow team protocols post-play. 4. Community and team service. Offset PR damage with visible community work and team-first messaging. It won't erase mistakes, but will blunt some criticism. Why this story reverberates beyond Philadelphia. High-profile disciplinary threads have ripple effects. The league's posture affects officiating emphases in other games. Rival organizations use high-profile incidents as leverage in public debates over rules and replay policy. And for college and pro prospects, Carter's case is instructive. Talent paired with temperament creates a different valuation than raw ability alone. Bottom line, Jalen Carter is a game-changing defender, but talent doesn't grant immunity from consequences. The new $11,593 taunting fine, layered on top of the $57,222 penalty tied to the Prescott spat, is a clear warning bell. If Carter controls his temper, focuses on the play, and lets his production do the talking, this becomes a footnote in an otherwise dominant career. If not, these disciplinary episodes will cascade into real competitive and reputational costs for him and the Eagles, costs that can't be covered by talent alone. Philadelphia's disciplinary headaches kept growing this week as the NFL fined Eagles defensive tackle Jalen Carter $11,593 for taunting after a blocked field goal sequence in the team's 33-26 win over the Rams. That penalty is the second documented league punishment against Carter this season. He was previously ejected and assessed a $57,222 fine for spitting on Dak Prescott in Week 1. Bringing his total tab to $68,815 through just 3 games. The immediate facts are straightforward. Carter committed a taunting infraction after a momentum play. The league fined him, and head coach Nick Sirianni publicly stressed the balance the team wants. High energy and tenacity, but within the rules. Sirianni's response was measured. Acknowledge the player's value, promise to address the issue, but resist an extreme public punishment at this time. Beyond the dollar figures, the bigger story is the friction between emotional play and on-field effectiveness. Penalties like taunting do more than cost money. They cost field position and rhythm. Sirianni rightly noted that some of the Rams' scoring sequences were aided by penalties that flipped field position. A disruptive defensive force matters only so long as he's on the field and not handing opponents short fields or free downs. Repeated infractions create self-inflicted wounds that undercut the very aggression a team prizes. There's also a reputational dimension. Carter is a high-impact young player, and a pattern of unsportsmanlike behavior invites scrutiny from officials and the league office, not to mention opponents who will game plan around how the team responds. The NFL has already shown it will escalate discipline for repeat offenders, fines, ejections, and, in more serious or persistent cases, suspensions. The league's swift action after the Week 1 incident signaled officials are watching Carter closely. Another misstep risks harsher consequences. From a personnel standpoint, the Eagles face a choice. Double down on internal discipline and coaching correction, or tolerate occasional flare-ups because the player's talent outweighs the risk. The best path for the team is obvious. Get ahead of it. That means clear behavioral standards, targeted coaching on emotional control, and accountability that's consistent and visible. For Carter personally, this is a moment to recalibrate. Maintain the edge that makes him productive, but channel it in ways that keep him on the field and out of the league ledger. In short, the fines add up, but the real cost is competitive. If the Eagles want Carter's disruption to help them win, not hurt them, the corrective work has to start now. before another heat of the moment play turns into a game-changing penalty or worse.